I will be a passionate supporter for the rights of the Palestinian people. They've been subjected to decades of oppression, violence and the denial of their human rights. This is wrong. It is horrific.
And George Galloway, the West.
Well, I googled my parliamentary election opponents and put in the word Palestine and discovered that none of them had ever said or done anything on Palestine before this election began. I, on the other hand, have spent 50 years fighting for the Palestinian people.
Yeah, I mean, what I would like to say is you've been a loud voice on Palestine, George, absolutely, but what difference have you actually made, and what difference could you make as a lone voice in Parliament? But let's be clear, you won't be that lone voice in Parliament, because there's no way that you're going to win this election. What you're actually going to do is facilitate a Conservative MP getting on the benches next to Boris Johnson, a party that's got issues around Islamophobia. That is not what the Muslim community of Batley and Spen need. That's the last thing they need. They need a strong Labour voice in Parliament to challenge within the Labour Party where appropriate and to get things done. You will make no difference whatsoever.
You see, my opponent says I will make no difference whatsoever, which is, I think, a tacit acceptance that I'm going to be the MP. If you think I will make no difference whatsoever, you haven't been paying attention.
You absolutely.
Well, a man cannot become a woman. There are not 99 genders, there are only 2. There are only men and there are only women. If a man wants to dress like a woman, act like a woman, and asks me to treat them like a woman, I will. But that doesn't make them a woman. It doesn't mean they can go into my daughter's changing room at the swimming pool. But that's what Labour is going to legislate, and that's what the Labour candidate has just supported this evening.
I just think you're showing a huge lack of sensitivity to trans rights.
Audience members, I call upon you one more time again, please. We must not heckle. We have limited time. Please. Kim Leadbeater, please, of the Labour Party. You have an absolute right to speak at this platform.
I'm not sure if George has ever met a trans person.
I have.
But it's...
I have. I've said it many times.
Can I finish? Can I finish?
Yeah, but you asked a question. I'm giving you the answer.
It wasn't a question.
Kim Leadbeater, you can respond shortly.
It wasn't a question.
Yeah, and what I would say is, trans people struggle with their identity often through their entire youth. And I have a friend whose daughter is going through this process at the moment, and it's a really sensitive topic. And I think to oversimplify it and to make it black and white is really disrespectful to trans people. As I've said before, we cannot pick our equalities. We have to treat each other with respect, tolerance and understanding, whether that's around race, gender, ethnicity, faith, age, any of the differences between us. And that's why Batley and Spen needs an MP who can pull people together and not divide them.
But I will not accept that science can be reinvented by Keir Starmer or the Labour Party. That's simply absurd. Being a woman is a biological fact of life. It's not something that any man can just declare himself to be. A woman is a precious thing, half of all humanity. There would be no humanity but for women. The idea that a man about to be sent to prison can announce that he's now a woman and be sent to a woman's prison, this is bonkers. And the British people know that it's bonkers. And Labour's embrace of it is one of the reasons why the Labour Party is headed to oblivion.
Any further comment to response to this point? Jack? Kim, wish to respond to that point?
No, I don't.
I suggest we move on. This has obviously been a contentious issue.